The gleaming spires of New Singapore's spaceport stretched toward the evening sky, their surfaces reflecting the warm glow of Earth's setting sun. Dr. Zara Patel adjusted her lab coat and hurried through the crowded terminal, her mind focused on the upcoming presentation about her breakthrough in quantum mechanics. At 32, she had already earned a reputation as one of humanity's brightest minds in theoretical physics, though she often felt the shadow of her mother's greater legacy looming over her achievements. The crowds parted suddenly, and that's when Zara saw her, a tall, ethereal figure standing motionless amid the chaos of the spaceport. The alien woman's skin shimmered with an otherworldly iridescence, patterns of light dancing beneath her translucent epidermis like aurora borealis trapped within crystal. Her eyes, deep pools of swirling silver, fixed upon Zara with an intensity that made the scientist's breath catch in her throat. Then, without warning, the alien began to weep. Not the quiet tears of human sadness, but luminescent droplets that fell like falling stars, each one evaporating into mist before reaching the ground. The sight was both beautiful and heartbreaking, drawing gasps from the growing crowd of onlookers. "Amara," the alien whispered, her voice carrying harmonics impossible for human vocal cords to produce. "You are her daughter. You have her light." Zara froze, her presentation forgotten. Amara had been her mother's name, but she had died in a laboratory accident 15 years ago, taking her groundbreaking research on interdimensional physics with her to the grave. Or so Zara had always believed. "How do you know my mother's name?" Zara demanded, stepping closer despite the security drones that had begun to circle overhead. "Who are you?" The alien woman's form seemed to flicker like a candle in the wind. "I am Lyria of the Stellar Confluence. Your mother, she saved my world once. And now..." A shudder ran through her luminescent form. "Now we need your help to save it again." Before Zara could respond, Lyria's knees buckled. Zara lunged forward, catching the alien woman before she could hit the ground. Despite her tall stature, Lyria felt impossibly light, as if she were made more of light than matter. Security officers pushed through the crowd, their uniform insignias marking them as members of the Earth Defense Force. Dr. Patel, the lead officer said, recognition flashing across his face. "We need to contain this situation." "She needs medical attention," Zara snapped, her scientific mind already cataloging Lyria's symptoms. The alien's bioluminescence was dimming, her skin becoming more transparent by the second. "The EDF has a secure medical facility nearby," the officer replied, gesturing to a waiting hover transport. "But we'll need you to come with us. This is now a matter of planetary security." As medical technicians transferred Lyria to a stasis pod, Zara's mind raced. Her mother had never mentioned anything about saving alien worlds. Amara Patel had been a brilliant physicist, yes, but her work had been theoretical, hadn't it? Yet here was living proof that there was more to the story, literally dying in front of her. The transport hummed to life, its medical systems interfacing with Lyria's unique biology. Zara watched the readings with growing concern. The alien's vital signs were unlike anything in Earth's medical databases, but even she could tell they were deteriorating. "Hold on," she whispered, placing her hand against the pod's transparent surface. "I have so many questions." Lyria's eyes fluttered open briefly, her silver gaze meeting Zara's. Through the pod's communication system, her weakened voice carried a hint of desperation. "Your mother's work, the resonance engine, you must complete it. The void comes, Zara Patel. And this time, it hungers for both our worlds." The medical pod systems flashed red as Lyria slipped into unconsciousness, leaving Zara with a mystery that would shake her understanding of not only her mother's past but humanity's place in the cosmos. As the transport sped toward the EDF facility, she pulled out her quantum tablet and began accessing her mother's old research files. If what Lyria said was true, she needed to understand what the resonance engine was, and why it might be the key to saving two civilizations. The truth, she would soon discover, was far stranger than any theory she had ever encountered in her years of scientific research. And time, that most precious of resources, was quickly running out. The EDF medical facility rose like a gleaming monolith against the night sky, its adaptive camouflage surfaces reflecting the city lights below. Zara sat in a sterile observation room, her quantum tablet displaying fragments of her mother's old research notes. Behind the reinforced plasma glass, medical technicians worked tirelessly to stabilize Lyria's deteriorating condition. Commander Raven Torres strode into the room, her dark uniform bearing the distinctive insignia of EDF Special Sciences Division. "Dr. Patel, we need to talk about your mother." Zara looked up, her eyes narrowed. "Funny, I was about to say the same thing. Why do I get the feeling the EDF knew more about my mother's work than her own daughter?" Torres pulled up a chair, her expression grave. "Because we did. Your mother wasn't just a physicist, Dr. Patel. She was part of Project Starbridge, humanity's first covert contact with advanced alien civilizations." The revelation hit Zara like a physical blow. She thought of all the late nights her mother had spent at the lab, all the mysterious phone calls and unexplained absences. "How long?" 15 years before her death, Torres replied, producing a secure data crystal. "What I'm about to show you is classified beyond top secret. But given the circumstances, and who you are, you need to know." The crystal projected a holographic display, showing a younger Amara Patel standing beside a group of beings similar to Lyria, their skin shimmering with the same bioluminescent patterns. But it was the massive structure behind them that caught Zara's attention, a towering machine that seemed to pulse with living energy. "The resonance engine," Torres explained. "Your mother's greatest achievement, and potentially humanity's most important collaboration with an alien species. The stellar confluence was facing extinction. Their star was dying, and with it, their entire civilization. The engine was designed to stabilize it." Zara studied the hologram, her trained physicist's mind already analyzing the impossible geometry of the machine. But something went wrong, didn't it? The engine worked, but there were side effects. It opened doorways that should have remained closed. Your mother discovered that the space between spaces, what the confluence calls the void, was inhabited. And what lives there? Torres shuddered. "Let's just say they noticed us. The accident that allegedly killed your mother? She sacrificed herself to shut down the engine before those entities could fully cross over." A soft chime interrupted them. Lyria's vital signs were stabilizing. Through the glass, Zara watched the alien woman's bioluminescence strengthen, patterns of light swirling beneath her translucent skin with renewed vigor. "She's asking for you," one of the technicians announced through the intercom. Inside the medical chamber, Lyria's silver eyes tracked Zara's approach. "You know now," she said, her harmonic voice stronger than before. "About my mother, yes. About Project Starbridge." Zara pulled up a chair beside the recovery pod. "But not everything. What's really happening, Lyria? Why are you here?" The alien's expression shifted, patterns of light beneath her skin darkening with what Zara interpreted as fear. "The void dwellers your mother warned us about, they've found another way through. The barriers between dimensions are weakening. We detected the first breaches near our star 3 lunar cycles ago. But now..." She gestured to a floating display of astronomical data. "They're appearing throughout this sector of space. Including near Earth." Zara's blood ran cold as she studied the readings. "These energy signatures, they're identical to the quantum anomalies I've been tracking in my own research. I thought they were natural phenomena." "They are anything but natural," Lyria said, attempting to sit up. "Your mother believed the resonance engine could be modified to seal the breaches permanently. She left behind encrypted research, fragments of a solution. But only a mind like hers could complete the work." Her silver eyes fixed on Zara. "Or perhaps, her daughters. Before Zara could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Commander Torres burst into the room, her face pale. "We've got a situation. Multiple anomalies just appeared in Earth's orbit. Whatever's coming through, it's big." Lyria's skin pulsed with urgent patterns. "They're here sooner than we predicted. Zara, we need to access your mother's old laboratory. Everything we need is there, the prototype, the research, everything." "What prototype?" Zara asked, but she already knew the answer. "A miniature version of the resonance engine," Torres replied. "Hidden away 15 years ago, waiting for the day we might need it again." As if in response to Torres's words, the facility's lights flickered, and through the windows, Zara saw strange, shifting shadows pass across the stars. The void was reaching for Earth, just as it had reached for the Confluence's world. And somehow, she had to finish what her mother had started, before both their civilizations paid the ultimate price. The old quantum research facility stood abandoned on the outskirts of New Singapore, its once pristine walls now covered in climbing vines. As Zara pressed her palm against the biometric scanner, she wondered how many times her mother had made this same gesture, carrying the weight of two-world survival on her shoulders. "Security protocols still active," she murmured as the doors whispered open. Mother always planned ahead. Lyria moved like liquid starlight beside her, her bioluminescence providing gentle illumination in the darkness. Commander Torres followed with a squad of EDF personnel, their weapons drawn against unseen threats. Above them, through the facility's transparent ceiling, the sky rippled with unnatural auroras, the void bleeding through into their reality. "Your mother's private lab should be in the sub-basement," Torres said, consulting a holographic blueprint. "But we need to hurry. Those anomalies in orbit are growing exponentially." The descent to the sub-basement felt like traveling back in time. Zara recognized her mother's touch everywhere, in the elegant efficiency of the layout, in the subtle modifications to standard equipment. But it was the wall of family photos that stopped her cold. There she was at age 5, holding up a science fair trophy. Next to it, a photo of her graduation. Her mother had been watching over her work even in secret. "She spoke of you often," Lyria said softly, noticing Zara's pause. "She said your mind saw patterns that others missed. That you would surpass her one day." Before Zara could respond, a deep tremor shook the building. The lights flickered, and for a moment, reality itself seemed to wobble like a heat mirage. Through the ceiling's transparent panels, they watched as a massive shadow passed over the city, something that seemed to bend space around itself. "Void Dweller," Lyria whispered, her skin pulsing with patterns of alarm. "They're testing the barriers between dimensions, looking for weak points." They found the lab behind a hidden door, its security systems recognizing Zara's genetic signature. Inside, suspended in a containment field, floated what looked like a miniature galaxy, the prototype resonance engine. Its swirling energies cast prismatic patterns across the walls, reminding Zara of Lyria's skin. "It's beautiful," Zara breathed, approaching the control panel. "And I recognize these equations, they're similar to my recent work on quantum harmonics. Mother must have been guiding my research from beyond the grave, leaving breadcrumbs for me to follow." Torres checked her tactical display. More void signatures appearing worldwide. "Whatever we're going to do, we need to do it fast." Zara's fingers flew over the holographic interface, combining her mother's notes with her own theoretical work. The original engine worked by generating a quantum resonance field that could stabilize stellar cores. "But if we invert the frequency?" Her eyes widened. "We could create a barrier that the void dwellers can't penetrate." "There's a problem," Lyria interjected, studying the calculations. "The power requirements are enormous. Even this prototype would need more energy than your facility can provide." Another tremor rocked the building, stronger this time. Through the windows, they could see parts of the city going dark as the void dwellers' presence disrupted power grids. In the distance, something that looked like a tear in reality itself was slowly spreading across the sky. Zara stared at her calculations, then at Lyria's bioluminescent form, an impossible idea taking shape. What if we had a living power source? Your people evolved to channel and store massive amounts of energy, it's why your star's death affected you so deeply. If we could link your biological energy matrix to the engine. It could kill her, Torres protested, but Lyria was already nodding. Your mother theorized this might be possible, the alien woman said. A true fusion of our technologies and biology. I offer myself freely, Zara Patel. Your mother gave her life to protect both our worlds. I am willing to risk the same. As if emphasizing the stakes, another shadow passed overhead, closer this time. Through the trembling windows, they could see it more clearly, a vast, shifting mass of angles that shouldn't exist, trailing tendrils of darkness that seemed to drink in light itself. We don't have much time, Torres warned, her weapons team taking up defensive positions around the lab. Those things are getting bolder, probing deeper into our dimension. Soon they'll realize they can fully manifest. Zara looked at the resonance engine, then at Lyria, understanding now why the alien woman had sought her out, why she had wept upon seeing her. This moment had been years in the making, a convergence of two civilization sciences, two worlds' hopes for survival. Let's finish what my mother started, she said, and began the dangerous process of linking alien biology to human technology, praying they would have enough time to save both their worlds. The Void Dwellers' presence grew stronger with each passing minute, their impossible geometries casting shadows that shouldn't exist. Inside the lab, Zara worked frantically to modify the resonance engine, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces as she integrated her calculations with her mother's original design. Lyria floated in a modified containment field, tendrils of light extending from her body to connect with the engine. Her bioluminescence pulsed in sync with the machine's quantum core, creating patterns that reminded Zara of neural networks, of stars being born. Energy synchronization at 60%, Zara announced, monitoring the readings. But the quantum matrix is still unstable. If we activate it like this, it would tear us apart at the molecular level, Lyria finished, her voice strained but determined. Your mother encountered the same problem. The resonance frequencies between biological and mechanical systems want to collapse into chaos. Another impact rocked the facility. Through the reinforced windows, they watched as a void dweller descended toward the city center, a writhing mass of darkness that bent light around itself, leaving reality cracked and distorted in its wake. Multiple breaches detected worldwide, Torres reported, her tactical display showing red dots spreading across the globe. Moscow is dark. London's going offline. We're running out of time. Zara stared at the equations floating before her, seeing the problem but not the solution. The quantum harmonics needed to be perfect, or the backlash would destroy not only them but possibly tear an even larger hole in spacetime. Then she noticed something in her mother's old notes, a detail so small she'd almost missed it. "Mom, you brilliant woman," she whispered. "You knew all along." "What is it?" Torres demanded. "The resonance doesn't need to be perfect, it needs to be complementary." Zara's fingers flew across the controls. Like a duet between two singers, or the way binary stars orbit each other. We've been trying to force the frequencies to match, but they need to harmonize instead. Lyria's eyes widened with understanding. Like the crystalline songs of my world's forests. Each unique, but together creating something greater. Exactly. But to achieve that harmony. Zara hesitated. "I'll need to join you in the containment field. The engine needs both human and confluence biology to create the perfect resonance pattern." "Absolutely not," Torres interjected. "The risk is necessary," Zara finished. "My mother knew this too. It's why she left the breadcrumbs in my research, why she made sure I'd understand both the science and the sacrifice needed." The building shook again, harder this time. Through the windows, they could see the Void Dweller approaching, its vast form distorting everything around it. The air itself seemed to grow thin, reality fraying at the edges. "They sense what we're trying to do," Lyria said, her voice urgent. "They're coming to stop us." Zara stepped into the containment field before anyone could stop her. The moment her body made contact with the energy field, she gasped. It felt like being immersed in liquid starlight. Lyria's consciousness brushed against hers, alien yet somehow familiar. "Your mother felt this too," Lyria communicated directly into her mind. "This connection between our peoples, this bridge between stars." Together, they began to glow, Lyria's natural bioluminescence merging with a light that seemed to emanate from within Zara's very cells. The resonance engine hummed, its frequency shifting to match their combined biological signature. "Energy synchronization at 90%, Torres called out, her voice seeming to come from very far away. "But the Void Dweller." The massive entity smashed against the facility's shields, reality crackling around the point of impact. In that moment of crisis, Zara felt something else through her connection with Lyria, memories of her mother, preserved in the alien woman's consciousness. She saw through Lyria's eyes as Amara Patel worked tirelessly to save the Confluence's world, saw her mother's joy at each breakthrough and her determination in the face of setbacks. Mom knew, Zara realized, tears streaming down her face. She knew that someday we'd be here, that her daughter and her friend would need to finish what she started. The Void Dweller struck again, and this time the shields began to fail. But in that moment, Zara finally understood the last piece of the puzzle. The quantum harmony didn't need to be calculated. It needed to be felt, like the love between a mother and daughter, like the trust between two civilizations reaching across the stars. "Now," she screamed, as reality itself began to tear around them. "Activate the engine." The prototype resonance engine flared to life, channeling the combined energy of human determination and alien wisdom. A wave of pure quantum harmony burst outward, carrying with it all the hope and sacrifice of two worlds fighting for survival. The Void Dweller recoiled as the wave hit it, its impossible form beginning to unravel. But the price of victory would prove steeper than anyone had imagined, and the next few moments would change both Earth and the stellar confluence forever. The quantum wave expanded outward from the resonance engine in concentric rings of pure light, each pulse carrying the combined essence of human and confluence biology. Through her merged consciousness with Lyria, Zara felt rather than saw its effects, reality itself being rewritten, strengthened, healed. The Void Dweller trying to breach the facility writhed as the wave passed through it, its impossible geometry unraveling like dark thread pulled from corrupt fabric. Above the city, the tears in space began to seal themselves, the unnatural auroras fading back to normal starlight. But victory came with a price. The power surge through the containment field was overwhelming, threatening to burn out both Zara and Lyria's nervous systems. Through their connection, Zara felt Lyria's life force beginning to fade. "No," she screamed, both aloud and through their mental link. "I won't lose anyone else to this machine." In that moment of desperation, something extraordinary happened. The quantum harmonics they'd created began to resonate with traces of energy left behind in the lab, echoes of Amara Patel's own work with the original engine. Through these echoes, Zara felt her mother's presence, as real as the day she'd last seen her. The connection goes both ways, her mother's voice seemed to whisper through time itself. Life flowing into life, stars singing to stars. Understanding flooded through Zara. The engine wasn't just a machine, it was a bridge, not just between dimensions but between all forms of energy, all forms of life. She focused her consciousness through it, drawing strength from the quantum field itself, channeling it to stabilize both her and Lyria's biological systems. The Void Dwellers across the globe began to retreat, pushed back by the expanding quantum barrier. But more importantly, the connection between Zara and Lyria stabilized, their combined energy finding a perfect harmony that the engine amplified and sustained. When the light finally faded, both women stood transformed. Lyria's bioluminescence had changed, now carrying hints of human DNA patterns, while a faint glow emanated from beneath Zara's skin, a permanent mark of their shared sacrifice and victory. Commander Torres helped them from the containment field, her usual military stoicism cracking with genuine awe. "The quantum barrier is holding worldwide," she reported. "The Void Dwellers are retreating. But that's not all, we're getting reports from the stellar confluence. The barrier extends across space itself, protecting both our worlds." "More than that," Lyria said, her voice carrying new harmonics that bridged human and confluent speech. "The quantum network we've created, it's not just a defense. It's a connection between our peoples, a permanent bridge of shared knowledge and energy." Zara moved to the lab's window, watching the sun rise over a changed Earth. The sky held a subtle iridescence now, barely noticeable unless you knew to look for it, a reminder of the day humanity's isolation in the universe truly ended. "We found readings from the original engine activation," Torres said quietly. "Your mother, she didn't die in an accident. When the Void Dwellers first tried to break through, she used her own biological energy to power the prototype. We thought she was lost, but now she's part of the quantum network," Zara finished, understanding at last why she'd felt her mother's presence. "Her energy, her knowledge, her love, it's all preserved in the harmonics, waiting to help guide us forward." Lyria joined her at the window, their shared bioluminescence casting gentle patterns on the glass. "Your mother knew that someday our peoples would need to truly understand each other, not just as allies against the void, but as partners in the great dance of existence. That's why she left behind all the clues, why she guided your research from afar. She knew her daughter would help bridge not just space and time, but understanding between two civilizations. That's why you cried when you first saw me," Zara realized. "You recognized her light in me, knew that the moment had finally come." "Yes," Lyria smiled, the expression now carrying both alien and human qualities. "And now we carry that light forward together." In the days that followed, the world would change dramatically. The public revelation of Project Starbridge and the Void Dwellers' attack led to a new era of human confluence cooperation. The quantum network became a foundation for sharing knowledge, technology, and culture between the two civilizations. But for Zara, the most profound change was personal. Every night, when she looked up at the stars, she felt the quantum harmonics singing in her blood, a reminder that she was now part of something greater than herself. And sometimes, in quiet moments, she felt her mother's presence in the network, watching with pride as her daughter helped guide humanity toward its destiny among the stars. The resonance engine still stood in her mother's lab, its quantum core pulsing gently. But it was no longer just a machine. It had become a symbol of what was possible when two peoples reached across the void between them, choosing understanding over fear, cooperation over conflict, and love over isolation. And somewhere in the quantum harmonics, Amara Patel's legacy lived on, her dream of unity between the stars finally achieved through her daughter's courage and an alien woman's tears.